Hello everyone. In this video, I'll walk you through how to do your assignment 4. And this is quite lengthy lab, and there are so many modifications you have to do. You have to deviate from the instructions, whatever is given. So that is the reason I'm just making this video for you. Okay. So you all know about this particular platform. This is your lab, and let me download all the files related to the lab. And once it is getting downloaded, so this is the place where you will be getting your portal information, the username and password. So hope you all know about this. Yes, my files are downloaded. Let me go to the next. And these are the instructions I need to follow and perform. So I have already logged in. Now let me just go and open a Microsoft Edge page. And in here, let me type all this link for downloading. Okay, I'm just clicking on the link, and this will take me to a place where I will deploy that particular deployment to my Azure cloud. So once you get it, if you scroll down, depends upon your computer monitor UI, you might get a different one. So you're supposed to click on this deploy to Azure. So I'm just clicking on deploy to Azure. The moment I click, it will ask me to sign in the username and password. I can get it from my resources. I'm giving in the username and password. I can say never, and I can say yes, and then come back. Yes, I logged in. Now I need to give some informations here. So what is exactly we are doing is that we are deploying an Azure VM by using Azure Resource Manager Quick Start template. So we just gone through this particular link, and this link took me to one resource manager deployment, and that deployment directly I'm deploying it to my Azure account. And Azure account in the sense like the one which is provided for us in this particular lab. So it is directly taking me here. It's about the ARM template way of deployment. And so here we need to give some additional data here. Let's go and do that. So let's the subscription be what is provided for us to this with this particular lab, and then the resource group should be created. Let me create a new resource group. So this is going to be the new resource group, and then carefully choose a region. You can put it East US, that's okay. And then the virtual network name. So this is going to create a couple of resources together. So one is that virtual network. And we can leave all the rest default until here, this host network interface name, and that should be modified. Even the interface 2 name also should be modified. And then host virtual machine name, that let it be this one. So this is hypervisor virtual machine. So this is going to create some one virtual network and subnet and some couple of network interfaces, and then it will deploy a virtual machine. So this virtual machine, which is getting deployed as part of this particular resource manager template, will act like our Hyper-V machine. So on top of that machine, we will create a VM. Okay, and then we will also add up lines. Okay, I'm going to virtualize. We are just going to virtualize this VM, which is going to be created. So we will see later in our demo. And then the username and password is this. This is the username, and this is going to be your password. I hope all the modification I have made the necessary ones. Let me click on next. Just going to review and create and validate. Once the validation is over, when I say create, it will take almost 10 minutes to complete this particular deployment. Okay, let me click on create. But again, one thing you need to be aware that sometimes this deployment will fail, stating there was some policy issue with the subscription what we are having. Okay. So what I suggest you is that once the lab is completely loaded, leave for 5 minutes and then start doing all the lab activity. You can wait here for almost 2 to 3 minutes and then you can go for create. But I'm just going to create to check whether that error I'm getting thrown now or not. So the moment I click on create, if everything is okay, then it'll go for the deployment. Sometimes, not sometimes, many times this particular deployment will fail. So if it fails, then yes, you have to redo the same steps again. But before going to redo the same steps, what you need to do, you need to go to this particular resource group which you are creating and go there and delete it. Delete the resource group, wait for some time, and then come back and start creating again from exercise 1. So that is the solution you have to do. So for example, when you're going for the deployment, during the deployment, if it fails, so you can see some error message here, and then it says the deployment failed. If you're getting that message, you can, I'll just show you how you can go to the resource group. So I'm just duplicating it so that I don't miss any information what will be printed here to check whether it is deployment succeeded or not. So in the other tab, I'm just telling you what you have to do. In case if this deployment failed, you can go to home and then you can go to resource group. On resource group, you can just click on this particular resource group and then you can delete it. So don't do if everything is okay. If the deployment is not succeeded, if it is throwing error, then you do this. So you'll go and you can click on delete resource group and then you can select and put it here. Right now, for me, I still didn't get any message. I hope everything is going good, but I might get an error message also. Instantly, you may get an error message here. So this is right now. I hope for me it succeeded with some resource creation, but still I'm not sure about this UDR deploy. User defined route. That's what that particular configuration will do. Perfect. So if there is no any error, then I need to wait for next 10 minutes. But in case if you get an error message, do this. Go here, delete it, and then again come to the first step and start doing it. So now this particular deployment will take almost 10 to 12 minutes. I'll be pausing the recording and then I will resume it. Yeah, it took for me almost 12 minutes to complete this. Even you might also face the same situation, 12 to 15 minutes. And next thing is we have completed task 1. And I'm not going to perform task 2, but you will be performing this task. And you complete this particular task until here. And only for the screenshots, you will be performing task 2. So right away, I'm going for starting with task 3. And we will continue from task 3. So for you, I repeat, you perform task 2 and take a screenshot and you put it here. And yes, task 3 has dependency on the task 2. So what are we creating in task 2? It is that we are creating a Bastion host. And that Bastion host we use to connect to this particular VM which we have created in task 1. See here, if you see, we go to task, connect to this VM which is created as part of task 1. For connecting to that VM, we use a Bastion host. But again, if you use the Bastion host, if you see here, due to intermittent network issues, okay, and if you use Bastion, and your response time will be very, very poor, and you don't get a greater user experience. So that is the only reason I'm telling you to create task 2, fine, but don't use Bastion for connecting. you can connect to this VM which is created directly. And I'll show you how to connect to that VM directly. And then I will take you to the next steps. So that is task 3. So till here, you will complete, take a screenshot and come here. So now what am I going to do is I will be just walking you through the steps, what you need to follow just to, make sure that you are connecting to the VM directly, not through the Bastion host. So all these steps you may not follow it. I'll be going through the different steps. Okay, once we connect by giving the username and password from step 4 and onwards, you follow this. Okay, how to do that? Let me go to the resources. Okay, so these are the resource which was created. The deployment got succeeded. Then you can even say go to resources, or now what we will do is we will connect to the VM which was created. Let me go and connect to this VM. For connectivity, I need to enable some public IP. And how to do so? So this is your VM. Go to networking, go to network settings. Let's allow 3389 inbound RDP rule so that I can take RDP this VM directly. And I'll say create inbound rule. I leave everything default only. I'll make it as RDP and I allow and say add. So the inbound port rule got modified. Once this is done, so from outside, I'm going to connect to this VM directly. That is why I just enabled the 3389 port number. And there is no any public IP associated to this VM. Let's do create that public IP now. And for that, what you do again, by staying in the network setting itself, you have this network interface, right? So if you click on this particular link, it will take you to a page where you can go and enable it. Okay. Next, I'll click on this IP config. So right now, if you see, it doesn't have any public IP. Let's enable that. Click on IP config and simply click on this associate public IP address. And you can say create a public IP address and click on OK and save. So this modification will create a new public IP and associate with our NIC card. It will take a couple of seconds. Let us wait until this gets completed. Yeah, the deployment got succeeded. So now what I do, you see here, there is an IP added. That's the expected one. So I can simply this enable IP forwarding and say apply. Do these steps without fail. Okay, that's great. Now we can go and connect to this VM. So go to overview, go to overview. Okay, this is NIC card. Let me go and search for the VM and select the only VM what we have. And let's say connect to this VM using this public IP. So what you can do, yes, you can say connect. So we are not going to connect via Bastion. If you do so, you feel a lot of network issues. So you click a button and that takes almost 5 seconds to respond to your call. So that kind of latency issues you will face. That is the only reason even in the note, it is suggested in the lab stating to go directly and connect. And for connectivity, they have given some information. If you want, you can even follow this, or the one which I have told you that is easy, you can follow that. And when we come back down here, so I need to connect, right? So how do I connect? I'll click on direct connect, not via Bastion. And then I'll leave it some time. So it'll configure something and I can say download RTP file. So the moment I click on download RTP file, that file gets downloaded. I click on this and say connect. And it'll ask me the password. So this is the password and say login. So now instead of logging in using Bastion, we are directly logging in. That's it. Now we are ready to go from this step 4 and onwards. So this will take some couple of seconds to come up ready. Till then, let me minimize. So what are we going to do now is this. Inside this VM, we are going to do all these modifications. First, we will switch off this advanced security. And then we will create these two folders. And then we will go along. That's it. Yeah, I hope the things are ready. Now let me just close this and wait for the things are getting loaded. Now, so we are in this VM, that is HVVM, hypervisor VM. And now let me click on this local server, go to enhanced security, and it is on now. Let me turn it off so that there won't be any site getting blocked. So it doesn't block us doing so many activity. So this is done. We have modified it. Yes. Next, let's go and create two folders. Let me go to the File Explorer, go to this PC, and in here, I'll go to folder F drive, and then create these two folders. Okay, let me create a new folder called VHD, and one more VMs. So these two folders are created. Now within the desktop session to this VM, so this is the VM. In this desktop session, start a Microsoft Edge. See, this is a virtual machine and we connected to, so this is a virtual machine where we are started, but from this VM, we have connected to the VM which we have created in the task one. So all these things you can just leave default. So you can see that there is a little delay in the rendering of image. When you try to connect using Bastion, and the experience will be much slower, and then it will take a long time. Okay, fine. Now what I will do is I'll just search for Windows Server Evaluation. And what am I going to do is that I'll be just downloading a VHD file. And that file I'll be using for creating a new VM on top of this Hyper-V VM. It's almost like you have to think that it's a server. And in this server, we have enabled Hyper-V role. And on this server, we are going to install a new VM, something like that. So it's, even though we created a VM, you have to consider this VM as a server. So how a physical server will be there, and you can install a hypervisor and start creating a couple of VMs on top of it. That's what we are going to do. And for that, we need a VHD file, and that's we are downloading. So let us go and type Windows Server Evaluation here. Click on this, select the first link, or search for this Windows Server Evaluation. I'm facing that issue, not this one. Yeah, this is the one. And in here you have a 64-bit edition VHD file. Let me just download it. It will take some time. So I just clicked on download. It is taking some time. Let me wait. Once it is downloaded, what should I do? I need to put this in the folder what I have created. So that is VHD folder, virtual hard disk folder. I'll be putting this file. This is almost a file where we will be using for creating a VM. Let us wait. It's still downloading. Yeah, I hope the download is complete. So we need to copy this to this particular folder. We check once in the downloads. It's there, but let me once again check here. Yeah, it says it is downloaded. I can just go to this particular folder. I can copy this and go to this PC and go to F drive, go to VHD and paste it. So this is done. And then the next thing is that we need to go to this Hyper-V manager. And Hyper-V manager means, so we are in this VM. In this VM, that Hyper-V role is already enabled. All these things was done during our task one. So we went with this ARM template deployment, and that template did so many things already. Yes, fine. This is ready. Let me go to the server manager. So you can even get it here as well. If in case if you closed it, you can go to start button and click on the server manager. And in here, what you will do, you will go to tools. On tools, you will go to Hyper-V manager. Yeah, it is here. And let me put it in big screen. Fine. So now I'm inside Hyper-V manager. And let me select this only node what we have. So that is 801 HVVM. Yes. So on this VM, on this server, we are going to install some VMs on top of it. Okay, one is for our workload, one more is for appliance. And let's do that now. Okay. In the new button, create a virtual machine. This will start a new virtual machine wizard. And in here, I can click simply next. And in here, I need to specify the name and location. So the name of the VM is going to be this. So it means I'm creating a VM on top of this VM. So this is going to act like a server. And on this server, I'm creating a VM, and that VM is this. Okay, I'm giving a name and then click on this. And then I need to select this. I need to select this, Control A and VM and say next. And in here, I need to leave the generation 1 default. I can say next. So the size, memory size should be modified from 1024 to 2048 MB. So it's 2 GB. Okay. Next. In here, let me select nested switch. And this is done. This step is also done. And then in here, I need to click an option, use an existing virtual hard disk. That's what we have already downloaded, right? It's in the F drive VHD folder. Let me go to browse that particular folder. It's in F VHD and click on this and say open. I'll redo it again. So let me browse F drive VHD. Yeah, and then we can say next, and we can say finish. Yeah, the virtual machine got created with the VHD which we have downloaded. It's a Windows Server 2022 file. Okay, fine. Now let's start this VM which was created. Doesn't take much time. And after starting, let's connect to that VM by clicking on connect. So previously, on top of this server, there was no any VM. Now we have created our first VM. One more VM we will create, and that is for appliance purpose. That is the one which will be taking care of our migration process. Let me connect to this VM. It'll take a couple of minutes to connect properly. So we are on our machine connected to lab virtual machine. From the lab virtual machine, we have connected to one VM which we have created, and then on top of it, we have created another VM, and we are inside that VM. So totally, almost inner and nested VMs we have created, and we are in this. We are at the fourth VM level. Don't get confused. Read the instructions carefully, and where to be executed, there it should be executed. So it'll take almost a minute. Let us wait. You don't need to do anything until it throws some message here. So then what we will do, there will be a hi there page, and in there we will just click on next, and then it'll take us to license page, and there we will accept it. And then we need to set the password for this VM which has been created. And then we will log in, and we just simply rename it. That's it. Okay, I can say next. It will apply some settings. And here I will accept. And in here, let me give the password. Password to be this. Let me type it. Can even check what password is typed. Yes, perfect. And say finish. So these two steps are done. Now we will just connect to this VM. So for that, I'll click Control. I'll see for that. If you see here, there is a menu, action menu. Go to action menu and then click Control Alt Delete. Then you need to key in the password. See, it is taking a lot of time to appear. In case if you would have gone with Bastion host connectivity, again, you can multiply by 2 or 3 seconds again. So that is the only reason we are directly connecting. So let me give in the password and say connect. Yeah, we have connected. So as we will be always discussing, there is a VM on top of it. This VM is getting created. So let's just go and rename it and restart it. That's it. So this is the only command I'll execute, and then that will complete our task 1. So just to give a summary, so you would be performing task 1. If there was any error, you could have deleted that resource group and created it again. So definitely you can succeed. Task 2 is only for taking a screenshot purpose. Later you don't use it, just create it and take a screenshot and just leave it, not a problem. And task 3, we will connect to the newly created VM as part of task 1 and connect to that, right? So that VM connectivity we don't use using Bastion host. We will directly connect by enabling a public IP. Yes, perfect. So then our VM got connected. Let me just go for searching PowerShell. There will be delay in getting the things displayed. Just bear with that. So it's going to be PowerShell. Let me type again. Let me run this as administrator. Then I need to key in this path command. See, one thing what you can do is you can just copy and go to clipboard and type clipboard text. If that is not working, then what you can do, you can just minimize this, open a command prompt, text document, and you can name it as commands. In here, you can paste it. Let's come back here and paste it. So we are just renaming the computer. New name is this, and previous name was this. Say restart and hit enter. Yeah, this command will automatically restart this machine. We can just minimize it. Yes, exercise 1 is done. Now you will be starting with exercise 2. Prepare for assessment and migration by Azure Migrate. So in here, so on AZ801 Hyper-V machine. So this is what is that machine. So there I'll be just going to the browser tab and I'll go and click this particular link. So let me just minimize this. It's restarting. Anyways, it's restarted. I don't need that also. And I'll be going to the Microsoft Edge. In here, I will go and click this and hit enter. It'll be just downloading some agent, and that is Microsoft Azure Migrate agent. Okay, so this is done. And then the next is, it's a PowerShell script. Now let's go and run a PowerShell command. It's a PowerShell ISE, and you should not start x86. It should be just PowerShell ISE and run it as an administrator. Go for x86, then it'll throw some error because of the command incompatibility. Okay. And then the next is this, I need to execute all these commands. So what I will do, let me just go to I'll create another Word document because in this mission, I didn't create a Word document. This is the first time I'm creating a Word document for copy pasting the command. Let me also name this as commands and give all these commands here. Let me copy, go to this PowerShell ISE and paste it and hit enter. So all the 4 commands got executed. Now we are ready to go to the next step. So the next step is the downloaded PowerShell script should be executed. So for that, let me just go and open a script. It should be in C drive. Under C, go to lab files, lab07, and this is the file. Let me say open. It opens in this way. So this is the script we need to execute now. And then let's simply click on this F5 for run script command. So see here, it will be asking some question, your confirmation. You might either press yes or no. Only for these 2 cases, you will be pressing no. For other thing, you will be pressing yes. So let's go and complete. This is yes. And this is also yes. This is also yes. Do you use SMB share? For that, we need to press no. Next is non-local administrator. In this case, also it is no. And that's it. So Microsoft Azure migrate Hyper-V. Okay, fine. Next is the task 2. Now we are going to create a migrate project. So what are we going to do now? Let's go to this Microsoft Edge. Let's again, we are in this Hyper-V VM. This is the VM. In here, I'm searching for portal.azure.com. Portal.azure.com login page. Let's log in. We need to give the username and password. So we're not doing it on, so previously we logged in, but not in this VM. It was here in our lab VM. So this is our Hyper-V VM. Let's give the password and say sign in. Not now, yes. Once you sign in, then we need to go for selecting migrate. No thanks. Search for Azure migrate on the search bar. So this is the one we are interested now. This is Azure migrate. In here, there are so many options. You will be clicking on this one, discover, access, and migrate. So on this Azure migrate servers, database, and web apps page, you can click on create project. And in here, you need to give some basic informations. The resource group, you need to create a new resource group. And the name should be this. And say, okay. And then the project name is this. Geography, where the metadata to be stored. So let's select US, United States. This advanced, we don't need any modification, and that's it. And you can say create. So now we have created a migrate project. So this is done. Now we are going to task 3. So we are just going to implement target Azure environment. So quickly you have to create 2 virtual network and storage account. Yeah, let this page be open. What I do, I'll just go for logging in or duplicating another tab. I'll say duplicate. Just I don't need. So here we are with the migrate, and the other tab we are going to create some virtual networks. So I know all these steps, so I'll just go quickly without telling anything because we have walked through this step so many times. Let me create on the basics tab. I'll put it another new group, and that's this, and say okay. Then the virtual network name is this. Next, next. There is a modification. Should be 10.7.0.0, and let me modify this subnet name. It is subnet 0 and leave the rest default, and I can say save and say review and create. And create. So one virtual network got created. So till here it is done. Now let's create another virtual network. Let us not wait for this. Let's go ahead, create another one. Let me say create and put it in 03 resource group. And then the name of the VNet is this. And you need to make sure that you're putting it in East US. I don't know where exactly I put the previous one. You should create in the East US itself. All the resources created in one region. That's better. I can say next. No modification in here again. I'll modify this side block. Edit this. Call this subnet as subnet 0. Say save and review and create. And create. Similarly, one more resource needs to be created, and that is storage account. So let's go and create the storage account with this information. Let me search for storage account. Create. Subscription, leave it default. Resource group should be 03. And then the name, you can give any name, just give a unique name. And then this also must be in East US. Leave default all, and this redundancy, put it as locally redundant. Next, no modification until data protection. In here, let's enable, not disable these, enable soft delete and review and create and create. That's it. So this will end exercise 2. So the exercise 3 and downwards, I will create make a video in other video because I have some restrictions. Let me stop and start a new video.